Hello, this is Yummy Pajama Man, and today I will be giving out a lesson on passing arguments to functions. And so we're going to be putting variables within the parentheses of this function. But before I actually do that, I just want to show you this. So this is really simple. You know what's going to happen. We've done this a lot before. Excuse me. And my dogs are right behind me, so there's nothing I can do about that. So what we're gonna do is, you know what's gonna happen. It's gonna say hello world. I'm gonna run this real quick, and hello world, like it's done before. And what we're gonna do is we're actually gonna switch. I'm gonna switch hello parentheses, or actually I'm gonna put this after this, and see what actually happens. So if we cut this out by using Control X and then paste it back in, Control V. I don't know if you can hear that. So what will happen? Well, you know that in a variable, I've shown this before, in a variable, if you actually call the variable before it's assigned some number or string, it will not work because it doesn't exist in memory. But in this case, for functions, you can do it either way or not. Okay, I was wrong. You can't run hello function before this is put into memory. So I was wrong. So a function and a variable that contains some value have to be put into memory before you can call it or before you can work with it in another function. So this doesn't work because it's going through each line. It knows this is a blank line. The next one is a blank line. Sees this. It sees hello parentheses, and Miss Anna, what are you doing? And so it goes to here and says, okay, hello parentheses. Is it in memory? No, because this wasn't run yet, so it'll produce an error. So again, run this, it'll produce an error, and the error named hello is not defined. So if we do it like we normally did, this will work. Because this is defined first. The function name hello is defined first, and then it goes down to here and then runs hello because it is already defined in memory right here. So you can't do it the other way around. Same with variables. So okay, so now we're going to go into passing variables to parentheses. So if we do Control A, you will highlight everything, and then we can just backspace, and that'll be gone. And then Miss Santa, excuse me. And then now we're gonna do my example. So let me just write this out real quick. So we do like pair equal to 24, and then let's say, or let's define a new function. So let's do the def keyword show underscore num, the name of the function, passing what are we passing? Oh yeah, passing num. And then, oh, don't worry about this, just write it out, and then I'll explain what all this is. So we'll print num, and then we'll do a new variable. It is a local variable, new num assignment operator, num minus 3. And then we'll do another print, and then we'll print out the new num, the variable new num that contains a value or a number, and then finally we'll do a print of the original variable num. And that will be it for the function show underscore num. I also want to call the function itself. Since this is defined, now I want to call the function. So I want to call the function, since the function name is show num, parentheses, and obviously I'm going to pass pair. Okay. And that's it. Yeah. So I know this is kind of confusing, so I'll go through each one step by step. Let me just see if it runs. Yeah, 24, 21, 24, and okay, so what this is doing, this is a this is a global variable, which I'll go over later on, so don't worry about this. So this is a variable pair assigned the number 24 in memory. So this variable is now in memory. So now we go down to here, goes to the next line. Now we have the function header show underscore num passing to the parameter num. Okay, and I'll explain num later. So so this is the block of code. This is the function header. You know all that. Now what's new is num. You're probably wondering, oh, what is num? I mean, it's not assigned anything. Well, num, it's actually pair. Show underscore num, I'm passing pair, which essentially it's 24. So think of this as show underscore num, parentheses 24 parentheses. So this is show underscore num, parentheses 24 parentheses. Excuse me. And so since num is now 24, I want to print 24. Now we go to new underscore num, a new variable, assignment operator. This is 24 minus 3, which will be equal to 21. Now new underscore num will be equal to 21. Print 21, print 24. This is the original. Okay? What was passed in, 24. I'm still printing 24, and I created a new local variable inside the function. So essentially we have pair outside the function, which is equal to 24. Now we have a local variable named num that is equal to 24, and then we have another local variable named new underscore num, which is equal to 21, obviously, because 24 minus 3 is 21. So now we have 3 variables. Okay, so what is the scope of pair, for example? Well, the scope of pair is actually everywhere. If I made other functions, for example, those functions can use that same variable over and over and over again. Okay, because pair is the scope of all over the program. This variable pair can be used anywhere. Now, for num and new underscore num, since they are local variables, they're within the scope of their function. They're within here. I can't go back and say, oh, I want to print num. This will produce an error. Because why will this produce an error? This variable num isn't actually defined outside of its function. So if we were to run this module, yeah, name error, name num is not defined. So he does all this and then it goes to num. It doesn't exist unless I'm working with it inside the function. Now if we do new underscore num, I can't print that because that's outside the function. So if we do run module, it doesn't exist. It's not defined. So this isn't defined because it's within the scope of the function. Okay? So that's why it doesn't work. Oh, get that. Yeah, so passing pair. Now you're thinking, oh, why is pair changed to num? That seems kind of confusing, right? Well, essentially it's just pair is the global variable, which I'll discuss later, which essentially global means it's everywhere. You can use this variable pair all over the program and change it or do whatever to that variable. So you're passing pair 24 here. Since you're passing 24 here, now that number 24 is assigned to the variable named num right here. So now this is 24. Num is equal to 24. 24 minus 3. New underscore num is equal to 21. Print 21, print 24. Does that make sense? I sure hope so. Well, that was pretty hectic. So yeah, so that's using one argument within a function. So if we do another function, for example, so I'll make this up. We do another function, def, we'll just call it num2. So this is the function name, parentheses, and let's do like, we'll use another local variable, but it'll be the same name. So num is equal to 3 print 3. Oh, I'm sorry, print num. And then I want to call it, so I want to call that after I define it. So I want to call num2 parentheses. So what will happen? It'll do this above, like I said before, like you've seen before, and I've defined the new function, and now I'm going to call the new function here. So what's going to happen is it's going to print num. Now again, this variable num is local. It's a local variable. Its local, its scope is within this function. So what I was saying is, I was talking about this function right here. So we define the function, and now we're calling the function. And so you're probably wondering about the local variable. Am I redefining it from this one? Well, no. This variable num is actually local, or within the scope of this function. This variable num is within the scope, or within the function of show underscore num. These two nums are unique from each other. So this num is equal to 24 within this function, and this num is equal to 3 within this function. So if I were to do num2 parentheses, but if I were to call the show underscore num again, parentheses pair, and if we were to remove this function right here, I just want to show you that we're going to run num2 parentheses and assign it 3 and print num. Okay? And then I want to call num again to show you that this local variable num isn't changed from one function to the next. So there we go. So what happened here was we run num2 parentheses and print num3. Now we go to here, you might think that, oh, local variable num is going to change, right? So it's going to do the same process as before, 24, 21, 24. Num is equal to 24. Well, if we go back to num2 parentheses function, we print num. Num is going to be 3 here, okay? These two functions are, the two local variable nums are unique only to their functions, if that makes sense. So I'm not redefining what num is for each function. I hope that makes sense. So okay, so that's talking about the parameter variable scope. So we can probably clear that and do another example as well and minimize that. So that was the parameter variable scope. Remember, the variable is okay, I probably said that way too much. Okay, I'll go on. So let's see, changes in parameters. Oh, okay. So let's go to passing multiple arguments. So we'll pass multiple arguments. Instead of one argument, we'll do multiple arguments. So okay, so let's do num1. We're going to do 2 variables, 55, num2, assignment operator, 25, and and then we'll do print parentheses. We'll do a pretty long statement of, with a capital, the result of, and then comma, num1, comma, and Miss Anna, don't be so sad, and comma, do another argument, num2, comma, apostrophe is, and then we'll define def. Now we're going to define the function show underscore result. Miss Anna, don't be so sad. You can be happy. Num1, comma, num2, and bring that down. Now we're going to define it. If we put the colon there, and Miss Anna, what are you doing? Don't poop in my room. Okay, so we do result, assignment operator, num1. I know this is a lot, so I'll explain in a little bit. Minus num2, and then do print, parentheses, result. Okay, and then we want to call the function after we define it, so we want to call show underscore result, and then we want to pass num1, comma, num2. Okay. I don't know if this is complicated or not. It might be scary, or maybe not, but I will try to explain this as best as I can. So hopefully it works. And yeah, see if it works. Yep, there we go. So result of 55 and 25, we're minusing number 1 and num 2, so it'll return as 30. So it works. Okay, and so let's go back to here. So the first line is num1 equal to 55. You know that. Another variable, num2 equal to 25. Now these two variables are put into memory. These are the two global variables. And and so we do print the result of 55 and 25 is, now we have to define the function. Now we're passing num1 comma num2. Miss Anna, don't be so sad. So we're passing num1 and num2, 55, 25. Okay, hold on. Miss Anna, come here. Okay, and so we're passing 55, 25 here. Now remember, this num1 and num2 is local. Okay, I'll be right back. Hold on. Alright, so we're back. So what I was talking about was how the whole thing was doing. Okay, so I think we ended around here, and so we go to show underscore result, and then we pass num and num2 obviously from up here. So 55, 25, 55 here, 25 here, and then it goes to 55 here, 25 here. Result equals to 55 minus 25. The print will be 30 like you saw before. So what is num1 and num2? This variable num1 and num2 are going to encompass or within the scope of the whole program. So I could change this num1 and num2 within like all of the program if I were to continue this. You know what this does, it prints. And then we go to defining the function. So now we have a local variable num1 and num2, not the same as this. I did this on purpose just to show that num1 and num2, these are local variables. They are local to this function here. These two, even though they're the same name as these two, these are global variables, but these are local variables within the function here. So result is going to be equal to 55 minus 25. Print result here. So it's going to be 30 here. So if I were to print, the global variables, num1 comma num2, we go to file, save, it should still be 55, 25. Okay. Now let's say that, let's redefine what one of these parameters or arguments that are put within the function. Let's redefine what they contain. So num1 originally it contains 55 here. So now we go into this function. Now I want to change it to 30. So now num1 is equal to 30. So result's going to equal to 30 minus 25 here. Print result 5. But out here, outside this function, I'm going to print the original number, which is 55, and then 25 here. So it should be 5. It should be result of 55, 25, 5 here, and then 55, 25 again. Yeah, see? So again, so the print function is doing this, and now it's going down to here. We get 5 because result is equal to 30. I redefined what num1 is, even though it was 55. I redefined it. Local variable 30 minus 25 equals to 5. Now, this is, putting in what 55, 25 is right here, and then running the process from here. And then I do print the global variables num1 and num2, 55, 25. It does not change. Num1 does not change because of this. Okay? It does not change. This is a global variable. This is a local variable. Okay, I'll stop. I don't know if I was redundant or not, but I think being repetitive and a little bit redundant, obviously, will get into your brain, and hopefully you understand what I'm talking about when I'm talking about parameter variable scopes, when I'm talking about the scope of what this is. So, okay, I'll stop with that. And I think that that is it. Obviously, there was another one I had to talk about, but I already did it. So you can change the parameters values, like you've seen here. We changed it. We did some process. So that was the last part that I was talking about. So yeah, so this is essentially passing multiple arguments or one argument to functions, and we've learned a lot. Okay, so I will see you in the next tutorial.